Susan Vespoli writes from Phoenix, Arizona. She believes in the power of writing to stay sane and embraces the quote on one of her favorite t-shirts, "Make art in the face of fuck," Corporal writing. Her poems have been published in One Art, Anti-Heroin Chic, Gyroscope Review, Rattle, New Verse News, and other cool spots. She is the author of 4 books, the most recent, published in March 2025, Therefore, Illuminated, Kelsey Books, and her website. I believe Judy will be putting that in the chat, so you can check out Susan's news and books and so forth. With that, I give you Susan. And please, everybody, if you would, go ahead and mute yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And thanks for inviting me. And at one point I didn't think I'd make it, and I did. So I'm very happy. I haven't been here for a while because I often watch my little granddaughter on the weekend. So I was like, with my granddaughter, the poetry, I don't know. So anyway, but things are changing right now. So as she's getting older. The last time I actually read, I have 4 books. The first book I read from that here for you guys a while ago, the Blame It on the Serpent, which was about my kids and addiction. And it was, I'd been writing poems to vent for like 10 years. And I finally put it together in a little book and realized how healing that was, to find out what was your story. So since then I wrote about a bad boyfriend, which is more funny. And then looking back, at least, then unfortunately, my son, the one that was in the first book, was shot and killed by Phoenix police, which, they're most violent of the country. We just pride ourselves on violent policemen here. So I wrote, like from day one, I just started writing about my son's murder, because it's like they made him look a certain way that wasn't true, and I was going to show them who he was. So that's what this book is, and that again helped. And then over the period of time, including a lawsuit, etc., I wrote this book, Therefore Illuminated, and it's the Leonard Cohen a crack. That's how the light gets in. So really, even with all the stuff, it's helped me get light in. So I was trying to show how I had healed. You never completely heal, but so that's the collection of poems I brought, and that's what's in there. There's a couple that weren't in that book, but one that's published beyond that, and one that was in the first book, which I will start with. It's called I Come From a Line of Women. That was in the first book, and anyway, okay. I come from a line of women named after saints, queens, and mothers of Jesus, who knit pictures into sweaters, channel Ouija boards into books, and defecate into cranberry boxes while on road trips by themselves. I come from a line of women who glue false eyelashes onto their lids in their 80s, sport jungle pelt prints, and wallpaper bathrooms with photos of Tom Jones. I come from a line of women who drag children cross-country by train to locate philandering husbands and say meals must contain a root, leaf, and seed vegetable. I come from a line of women who fly Beechcrafts, lead Girl Scouts, travel the world, and say they will only come home in a box. I come from a line of women who drop dead outside of parked cars, still holding the keys in their hands. And by the way, that woman is in her 90s and still wearing false eyelashes. So, okay, so the next one, this was from the new book, What I Wanted and What I Got. I wanted my son back. I wanted the cop who shot him to be held accountable. I wanted my son to be standing here wearing his Pure Heart t-shirt, handing out food boxes. I wanted him to ask for more light clothes for Christmas, more white socks, because he believed light colors would help him stay clean. I wanted another cross for him to carry, mosaicked in fractured glass, another coffee date at Starbucks, another tour of his apartment furnished with found lamps and a found statue of a bear holding a fish that said, welcome. I wanted his voice saying, I love you, Mom. His fingers texting me photos of geese and cats and quail eggs laid in a ceramic swan. What I got was a wrongful death lawsuit, a deposition where I was shamed and blamed by an eye-rolling, smirking bitch of a City of Phoenix lawyer who mocked my 12-step beliefs, asking sarcastically, did it help? I got my Facebook account invaded by the cops' legal team. I got 2 of my poetry books used as evidence against my son. I got a gag order. No more speaking about or publishing poems about the loss or the case. 2 canceled poetry readings. I got a t-shirt that says, make art in the face of fuck. I got the face of fuck. I got a pen and more journals because the cops, lawyers confiscated my journals. And I write anyway, and I write anyway, and I still believe good will prevail. Still believe the spirit of Adam stands among us, that his words a couple weeks before his murder, I think God has another plan for my life, will ring and crack the wrecking ball of the City of Phoenix and its cops' denial, and out of the shatter will glow my son's smile, his essence, his light. So this one is mediation day. It's like I left that mediation and wrote this. So here we go. Me, know what I want? Lawyers paid and cop jailed. My lawyer, it's a wrongful death suit. It's all about the money. Someone, money can hold them accountable. The more money, the more pain to spark change. My lawyer, they're never going to change. It's all about the money. The life of a 39-year-old unmarried man with no children is worth $750,000 to $1 million, split 4 ways minus expenses. City of Phoenix's law office is a palace on the 27th floor of a high-rise, corner of, I swear, Adams Street. Mediator, because of your son's addiction, his life is worth much less. You must feel guilty as parents you didn't do more to help him. They know all about you and more. Come on, he wasn't a street minister, maybe suicidal. That's all the money we came with. Why didn't you commit him? You must feel guilty as parents. His life is worth much less. They had to go back to ask for money twice. This is their best and final. If you don't accept it, it will go to trial. My lawyer, $200,000 equals their legal fees if we go to trial. Anything over that means they are admitting fault. Me, I want them to say they're sorry. Our lawyers, never going to happen. It's all about the money. My ex-husband dissolves. Cop gets away with executing our son. Our lawyers to each other. I find it insulting his life is deemed of less value because of his struggles. What if this was one of our kids? Our lawyers to us. If you go to trial, you could end up with 0. Draws a 0 on a yellow pad. Me, I don't want his name sullied anymore. Mediator, City Council will need to approve the settlement agreement, February 13th, 1 day after what would have been Adam's 41st birthday. My lawyer, phone call next day. You did the right thing. You'll get a statement of legal fees and expenses within 60 days. It's all about the money. Bye. Take care. So next one. This one is a list poem. Random things, a random list of things I've lost. Keys, games of Scrabble, earrings, rings, the ability to eat onions, garlic, beans, my night vision, courage to drive on the freeway for now, beloved dogs, Ramona, Chet, Jack, Sylvia, and James, an unhappy marriage, happily ever after delusions, 2 out of my 3 adult kids to drugs, one still struggling and the other murdered by police, trust in law enforcement officers, in our political system, 2 grandsons to the East Coast, their father, my eldest, to another location 4 hours away on the map of Arizona, a long-term love affair, my naivety, my desire to people please, ability to keep my mouth shut. Okay, so this one is in which there's a section in that latest book, there's a section about the lawsuit, and then there's a section about my daughter who's still struggling, and then there's a section about my granddaughter, there's poems about my dog, and then about a new love relationship that I kind of miraculously stumbled into. So anyway, this one is called Fries, Food, and Drug, and it's an abecedarian. So at the grocery store, my daughter is bent slightly forward, burnt crispy from the sun. She doesn't hide her teeth this time. Arms encircled in bracelets, fingers and rings. From some kid, her answer to my, "Where'd you get all the jewelry?" A khaki backpack hangs from her shoulders as she shuffles in on blistered feet, grabs a cart. I am just showered, wear lipstick, clean jeans, double knotted Keens, purple peace kind t-shirt. She limps along in black Nike canoes, man-sized on her petite feet. Shoppers and store clerks notice her, stare, and I wonder if she'll be kicked out by management or security protecting their doors, like I've seen at QT, Circle K, Walmart, uniformed guards refusing entry to unshowered street people, blocking the moneyless theft risks. And so I shadow her like a maternal umbrella, wield a Visa card, meet their cold glares with vehement warmth, deflect their gawk with my jaw-set smile, direct gaze. Don't you dare judge her, I say with my posture. If you unzip her exterior, she will fill this whole store with light. Okay, so this one is called After a Long, Dark Night of Grief. It was kind of like I wrote it in a big dump one day, like this long, and then this is the only piece that was the keeper. But anyway, here it is. After a long, dark night of grief, get out of bed, step over the sleeping dogs, open all the shutters, go outside and look at the sky, watch the fiery fried egg rise from the horizon under gray puffball clouds that suddenly turn pink, like an ocean of cotton candy. And you remember the young woman at Tuesday's Buddhist 12-step meeting who said something about a pink cloud moment. And you realize that this is a pink cloud moment as a ring of birds starts circling and circling above the palm trees as if they are dancing. Okay, so this one's not in the book, but it was published not that long ago by One Art. But it goes, it should have been in the book, but it was just written not that long ago. It's called Cracked. Okay, near the end of the lawsuit, I fell for him when I hated every lawyer, even my own. Christopher, public defender, who doesn't believe in God or religion or astrology or fate, but collects Buddha heads, prayer beads, lived in a commune in his 20s, reads Rumi, Mary Oliver, loves Sexton, stuck a magnetic peace sign on the bumper of my car, memorized all the words to Hallelujah, crooned them to me over dinner, believes in justice. How could you stand it, the toxic legal wrestling pit? Gentle smile, says everyone deserves representation. Case after case, decades of finesse, respect, cracked the enamel on his back teeth while he slept. When he told me about his teeth, I said, "Do you see the connection?" And he went, "Oh." Anyway, okay. So this one is about my granddaughter. It's called View from Behind Plexiglass at Arizona Ice, Peoria. At the ice rink, Teen boys smell of aftershave, crush on co-eds, converse in surfer dude lingo, while I double knot size 1 skates so she can enter the throng of those who flow counterclockwise, some fast, some faltering, some giggling in midriff tops or bundled in overcoats, scarves, hats, all careening across an arena-sized sheet of ice. It's the last Friday of December, and just about everyone and their kin have come to conga line to the end of the year with me and 9-year-old Molly, who was so excited the night before she painted powder blue polish on her fingernails to match her new velour sweatpants and shirt. And there she sails the frozen quadrangle, gliding, sliding, red-cheeked. She's the tiniest one out there, teetering alone, under the spell of verve, never a victim, this one, who I watch fall and get back up, fall and get back up, X number of times, still smiling. Has it been a whole year since she's seen her mom? A big dark hole for all concerned, but today there's zeal, a little girl in a pink scarf, knit cap, warmed by this moment on the ice. Okay, then another, she's totally brought tons of light, this whole, always, you know. And so had my dogs. I actually ended up with 3 dogs, surprisingly. I used to be a cat person, but this one is A Blessing on the Dogs, after Annie Finch. So curious dirt sniffers, rhythmic tail thumpers, kibble gobblers, milk bone snatchers, and face lickers, barkers at Amazon trucks, prolific fur shedders, you who plop on the dog bed next to your sister, bumping her backside, jolting her from a dream, she who wakes eyeballing you, then simply scooches over and returns to sleep. May we learn tolerance for pack mates from you, eternally in the now, thrilled at every urine-stained post, every bug, weed, pile of another dog's dung. So, okay, we're getting to the, we have 3 more. So this one is called Exiting and Entering. It's 3 little kind of prosy sections. So 1, the lawsuit is over. Pick up your grief journals from the lawyer's office. Stop to hike North Mountain. Drink in long-legged jackrabbits, laughing quails, saguaros, mountain bikers, lone walkers, and then no one. Where is the trail back to the visitor center? Phone has no signal. Sky is empty, except for the gauzy ghost of last night's full moon. 2, go west on Northern to drive your granddaughter home to her dad's. Go past horses, strip malls, palm trees, overgrown into cousin It's. Out of the blue, she starts to sing Closing Time by Semisonic. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. I have no idea where she learned it. She has perfect pitch, which she did not inherit from me. 3, the cop who shot my son is at my front door, saying he's sorry. Everything is dark, as if in shadow. I say, don't apologize to me, apologize to Adam. So he walks down the hall, and Adam opens a door. And in other dreams, Adam is ethereal, but this time he is crying, and the cop is crying, and they lean together toward each other and merge. I jolt awake. True dream. And so this one is called Aftermath, a found sonnet. So I was interviewed by a man named Tom Maxedon on KJZZ, which is the like NPR affiliate here. So I just took all these, plucked these out. And so here we go. What happened? Officer Lindo shot my son in the back of the head, blew everything apart. In the face of powerlessness, we should say his name, Adam Vespoli. Phoenix Police Department Disciplinary Review Board. Pop was found out of policy, immediately resigned. Freedom of Information Act, aftermath, coping with grief, a molten slosh of pain, healing thoughts and hearts. My son, a big believer. My mission, words and mouth, to be his voice. Lawsuit resolved, financial settlement. The policeman is no longer a policeman. He is driving a truck in Texas. Yay. So one more, this is my last one. It's called Picking Up the Settlement Check from My Son's Wrongful Death Case During the Eclipse, which is, ironic, of course, My dead son was in the car with me as I drove to the lawyer's office to pick up my net settlement check. And we drove past a laughing Buddha Chihuahua running against traffic down the center of Dunlap. And we drove through a split of mountain crags, and we drove past a guy twirling and tossing a red arrow sign at an intersection. And my heart and gut felt on fire with raw grief. And I said, well, here we are, Adam. Meaning the end of the lawsuit. And even as I wanted to sob and flail, I could feel him smiling beside me, saying, there, like a benevolent cloud. When the paralegal handed me the check, she beamed as if we should don party hats, throw confetti, and I wanted to pop every balloon in the place, wave the rectangular piece of paper in the air and say, this represents my son's life. Outside, humans were wearing tiny plastic glasses and looking up at the sun, and the sky over the parking lot glowed fluorescent. And this check felt like me saying it was okay. The cop shot my son. But I have fallen into a sort of love with a man who is ironically a lawyer, who has helped me understand the mind fuck of the legal system, understand that money the city of Phoenix had to pay caused them pain to spark change. And it is springtime on the planet where my son's physical body is only a memory. And there is a throng of 5-foot-tall sunflowers standing outside my bedroom window. And the ocotillo in my front yard, mere sticks and thorns a month ago, is now covered with soft green and topped with flame-colored flowers. The wind flutters into candles on a cake. So, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Wow, what a body of work. Thank you for joining us today and reading those. Very powerful work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now's the time to put your comments in the chat for Susan, and we'll just take a moment to do that. Okay. Our next poet, Lenny DellaRocca, is founding editor and publisher of South Florida Poetry Journal, SoFlo Pojo. He has since handed over the reins to managing editor and longtime friend, Michael Mackin O'Mara. Embedded at SoFlo Pojo is his new journal, Witchery, a place for e-poems, a form he invented. Curator of Chameleon Chimera, an anthology of Florida poets, which has been published by Purple Pink Press. Lenny has twice been nominated for a Pushcart. He has published more than 400 poems in print and online journals. He has 5 poetry collections. And with that, I give you my friend, Lenny DellaRocca. Lenny.
Thank you, Susanna and Judy, for this ongoing reading that you guys have been providing the community for all these years. And I just want to say, Susan, what such raw and powerful poems. They're staggering. Just wow. That's all I kept telling myself is just wow. Wow. I have some poems here. I want to say that I've come recently to believe that I write two different kinds of poems, intuitive and intentional. Sometimes they mix. And this first one is a prose poem. And in 2024, I wrote only prose poems. Before that, in 2022 and 2023, I wrote the e-poem that Susanna mentioned, a form that I invented. So I took 2 years developing those and writing those. There's a manuscript floating around trying to get the book published, simply just called E. The prose poems are in an unpublished book that I haven't really started circulating yet, called Invisible Charades. And now for 2025, all I'm writing are couplets. So I'm going to screen share. Yeah. So, oh, it's disabled. Okay. I wanted you
I
to
just
see
enabled it, Lenny, so you can do it. I
Could
just-
you-
Judy
could you-
just enabled it. You can,
Oh, cool.
and you can just click the share on your end.
Yeah. All righty. Can everybody see it? Better than looking at me. So this first one is called Cloud Symbols. This started out as an intentional poem because my keyboard, the letters on it are starting to fade, I guess, from being used. And then it kind of merged with intuitive. I started off saying I wanted to write this poem about figures, characters disappearing on the keyboard. And that's the intention part. But then as I was writing it, I was really having it be intuitive. I kind of just let go and let the intuitive side come in. And it's called Cloud Symbols. It appeared recently in Tupelo Quarterly. Characters are disappearing from my keyboard. I think they've gone over to the other side, where every grasp for a meeting is a handful of air. The E and question mark talked about this before, making a slow break of it gently over time, like love forgetting its own periodic table of elements. A woman who looks past her lover to another man. Not too long ago, the F and percent sign started a rumor that spread to my index fingers like lightning on the back half of a storm. All this to say that sometimes I feel myself evaporating. My hand no longer at the end of my arm, lost in the space bar below the CVBN. I type Isabel, but my wife is not in the sound of it. A stranger lurks in the underground alphabet with a pernicious eraser. Somebody's walking away with the elemental P of my heart, walking away with old love letters. I watch them fall through parentheses with the words invisible and forget. The S in the rain's white noise drowns out the tick and K in clock. It means time's up. And so that's one of the prose poems. Thank you. This is the couplet. So this is newer. And this, I would say, is more intuitive than intentional, though it started off to be intentional in that I wanted to once again try to tackle a poem about my grandfather planting a tree in our front yard back before I was born. And it turned into this more intuitive piece. But I did save part of the intentional part of it after drafts. About a little boy that lived my age, he was like a year younger than me, who died after swallowing a bottle of aspirin. And I call it Far Fever. And as with all my couplets, they start with an epigram from Andre Breton and Philippe Soupa. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And it goes, speak according to the madness that has seduced you. I sat beneath that white birch tree, listening to creatures I didn't know had names, until later when I walked under their music. These became my friends. I named one after the boy across the street who ate a bottle of dark and died. They said he went to heaven, but I saw him open his wings on a branch in the birch, sat there among the sparrows and shined all afternoon. Clouds escaped a gray dragon, a single-engine plane, winked from the sun's dream, and Jimmy smelled like oranges. Light had gone out and come back from the humming sky, burnt the tops of houses and trees. I sat beneath the branches where my friends were singing, and I cried. This goes back before any of the intent. You know, I was doing the e-poems and then the prose poems and then the couplets. This is back further before all of those, when I was just writing poems, and it's definitely intentional. This was in my chapbook, Things I See in the Fire, in 2018. It's called Gravesite. So I went to my father's grave, believing if I stood there beneath Saturday's clouds and said something, years of silence would blossom in a rhapsody of birds, or at least a dove. But I couldn't think of anything to say, and that cold silence sparked between us again, arc of lightning between two pillars of stone. And then here's another couplets, and this started off. I have a list of rare words that, like, you see these rare word lists, and one of them was this word I had never seen before: nihilarian. And the definition is a person who deals with things lacking in substance or meaning, which of course defines me, right? Often in a philosophical sense, and it's got the same epigram. Then I came to the end and walked past it before anyone could catch up. The air was hot with a laughing sun, and a band was banging out a tune from a garage not far off. Who wants to ride in this machine? I said, and Margaret said she'd give it a go and pushed her hair up. The sandwiches came along in a basket and people danced into their front lawns. I thought work could wait, and it did. Something went off after the music stopped, and I slid off my seat in a hurry. I went on like this for a time, and nobody cared or complained, even if they prayed. The tray was passed around, and birds flew into lemon trees with secret codes on their feet. Now and then a bus went by with movie stars waving from windows. I ordered a phone call that could hook up an idea for the jury, inflamed with data sets and miniature accusations about the defendant. You know, the guy in the flaneurs hat, always showing off his jacks. By the time lunch was carted off with empty beer glasses and bones, I was up to here with Margaret's insinuations. I looked for a way to climb off the surrounding area, but the band started up again and the dancers got into the machine. So that's certainly nonsensical and surreal, which mostly intuitive here. Here's another couplet, certainly intuitive, and I've done this before. It's called Fractured Concert, and if you think of a concert, if you view that in your head, what a concert looks like, maybe a video, maybe live, maybe a painting, and then think of it fractured, sort of like a Cubist painting. Maybe Picasso did it or something, where it's just shattered into pieces and then kind of put back together willy-nilly, that kind of as a whole doesn't make sense, but in slices maybe something. So Fractured Concert, and there's that epigraph. It ended with a flourish. Everyone assumed it ended when the soprano was tickled pink. Nobody was sure. I took out my lorgnette when someone wonderful peered from the pamphlet. They had a flair for mediocrity and said, "This is not your grandfather's symbolism." Someone with a feather said, "The machine helps bring it into the world and kisses it on the lips when it's not looking." I couldn't be sure what it was, and deeply gazed at women and men fizzing effortlessly in tights. Capriciously, the house brimmed with atmospheres, and before the prizes were given out, I crumpled the first draft in the balcony and took a snooze. A flurry of partners sluiced down from their seats, applauding the dancers who kept goosing each other when the lights flashed, indicating the flop was over. I stretched over a row to assuage a woman still trembling in her white suit, but couldn't save her. She'd seen the future and hit something eternal on the way out. That's when nothing else happened for a long time. Adjustments had been made in a dignified manner to keep from snitching on the orchestra. The forecaster said, "You ain't seen nothing yet." So I picked up my brushes and began. Somebody calaboosed their way into my compartment and said, "So far, so good." But the ushers swept through with their twitching eyes and said, "Get the fuck out." Everyone on the other side looked back for a moment and then skipped off violently. "Wait," I said, "let's start over." I raised an eyebrow and the soprano said, "Okie dokie." That's what that is. So this was in Big City Lit in 2022. This is a list of imaginary band names that I made up, and it's called, and they published this right when Queen Elizabeth died. So it's called His Majesty's Favorite Imaginary Psychedelic Rock Bands. And it's just a list of band names that I made up. Bad Apothecary, Gin Radish, The Amazing Spaceship, The Savior and His Painted Automatic Machine, Pete, Lila, and Grin, Syntax Dream, Canary Weather, Cult of Red, Organic Buffoon, Rusty Fred, Her Fine Rabbit, The Blame, The Stunning Goats, Bop, Rain, and Tin, Violet Anus. Sometimes the patrol goes far away like a circus. Frog and Toad Pub, Goose Stable and the Orange Tub, Solo Demure, Zen Harp, Mahjong Lighthouse, Carpe Lunatic, The Telephone Liars, Beg, The June Spoon Moon, Yellow Wires, The Big Sniff, Whiff of Lennon, Not the Goon, The Snot. Grown-up poets shout, "So what, so what, so what, so what?" And of course, that's intuitive. This is intentional, and it was just in Discursive Muse Quarterly, DMQ, and it's a part of the Invisible Charades manuscript. A particular point in passing. The building held no significance, just a white glance as you drove by. You don't remember where you were going in that little white car, repossessed days after the bank took your house, after you lost your job, a few days before your father died. But this is many years later, and for some reason that building comes into your head. You imagine offices on the 4th floor, desks, cubicles, Heckle and Jekyll calendar in the break room where somebody was eating a sandwich, somebody at the copier, somebody in the ladies' room, someone called to the supervisor's office, the one with the big glass clock, or so you imagine. Shut the door, the boss might have said. The air came on and off, phones rang, the UPS guy handed the receptionist a package, a potted palm blocking a photo of Tippi Hedren, a country and western song on the radio. Maybe a woman stood at a window looking down to the highway, saw your car going by, wondered who might be driving. You think of things like that. All these years later, that woman is tapping a pen against her lips. She's writing a novel, trying to find a way to bring two lonely strangers together. She's certain you're one of them. This is a little bit of both intuitive and intentional. This is The Invention of Water and Fire, and it's for Michael Heddick. A man goes into the water and never comes out. When I walk across the room, now that summer is almost here, something glistens on the table where I sit reading poetry to my wife. It's our phones shining, giving back light from the mango trees outside, the white poplar with crows in it. Our shining phones could easily take us to a stranger if we dialed the right number, or to my sister in Tennessee, where once on a visit we saw turkeys staggering on the side of the road, a family going home at dusk. I wonder who I might hear whisper if I call some random number. Maybe the man who walked into the water that day and never came back. Maybe he followed those little lights under the waves, fish with blue bodies and orange faces, flying, darting away in all directions in the blink of an eye. Fish that could be leaves in the fall when they fall to the ground, silent bells in a sweet gum cathedral, bells of fire that don't burn, only hush the slick, narrow street until a car goes by, making them leap, twirl in the air like a circus for birds. I think about the couple across the street who moved upstate. We visited them one time in autumn. Trees applauded in fierce colors as we drove, the road humming under tires, our old Chrysler rusting as we drove, smoke on a cold day, rain on a broken smile. They lived up there in a house that smelled like it was still being built, fresh wood, clean perfume under stars. It was the last we saw them. I know a man who becomes 2 hands full of fire when he talks about his father and wife. Recently, she walked into the Laurel without her phone. She went swimming in the trees, he says. She'll be right back. Some of you know the story behind that, I think. And that's it. Thank you.